Hello everybody, this is Chris and this is my channel Barnon 11970, and as always I want to thank you for taking the time to check out one of my videos. It's actually been a little bit over a month since I have actually made a video, and I wanted to give a little explanation as to why, and hopefully the audio sounds a little bit better. My wife was kind enough to get me what they call a blue ice microphone. Looks kind of like the shape of a softball, which I think is pretty cool. So you'll have to let me know in the comments section how it sounds when you hear it, if you notice any difference at all. But the image you see before you is the reason why I haven't been around for a while, at least part of it. My friend of 35 years was right before New Year's, well, as far as I was told, had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I visited him actually New Year's Eve in the hospital where, well, he was actually in the hospice. And if you know anything about hospitals and hospices, is once you're in a hospice, you're basically there to die. And he was 47, about to turn 48 on January 8th. But unfortunately, on the 3rd, he passed away. And we were basically best friends since 9th grade, when we were about 13. And the ironic part is, last time I saw him before this was about 6 months ago. And he looked perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden, he just deteriorated to the point where when I saw him in the hospital on New Year's Eve, I almost couldn't recognize him. He basically, especially in his face, looked like a skeleton with skin. And the funeral was this weekend, and they buried him today. But I wanted to make a video on this because I think this is very important, because of the fact that, like it says in the title of this video, appreciate what you have. This gentleman has had tumors all of his life, ever since he was a baby. He's gone to chemotherapy dozens of times. He's had tumors removed. And like I said, 6 months ago, he looked, like you see in the image, looked pretty healthy. You know, especially for a person that was about to turn 48 years old. And then 6 months later, the man dies. So I just want people to know, in this world, especially this day and age, people are so caught up in the most superficial and trivial things. People are getting angry and hating each other for the silliest and the minute of issues. Because people may have a difference of opinion, or people may have a different belief system, or political system, or religious system, regardless. That we seem to stop and forget how precious life is, and the people that we care about, how they could quickly one day be here and the next day be gone. And those of you who've been watching my channel for a while know that back in 2012, I lost my father. He died in a fire. And again, it's one of those things, you know, my father and I weren't very close. He moved away when my parents got divorced when I was 10, started a new family. Saw him maybe 6 or 7 times in a decade. He came back here to try and rekindle things. I saw him once and thought, well, you know, there's plenty of time. I'll see him when I get the chance. And that chance never came. Because unfortunately, I got a phone call one day from an uncle that I never heard from ever on my phone, so I knew it wasn't anything good that phone call was going to be, but found out that my father had passed. So I just want people to start appreciating the things that they have and realizing that at any moment your world can change, your world can be upside down. And we sometimes take for granted the things that we have. And we always seem to want more, and it's never enough. And in this topsy-turvy world that we're living in now, where people are so concerned about the most trivial things, we stop and forget what's really important in this world. And people should be allowed to have their own opinions, their own belief systems, their own political beliefs, religious beliefs, sexual beliefs, what have you. Now, they may be different from yours. You don't have to agree with people. You don't even have to like what somebody's ideals and beliefs are. But we should respect the rights for everybody to have them. And at any moment, something that you love can be gone forever. Like I said, the person that you see in the image here was my best friend since 9th grade, when we were about 13, 14 years old. He was about to turn 48 on the 8th of this year, but passed away on the 3rd from stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And for the longest time, I warned him, because we were almost inseparable for the first 20 years of our friendship, and things kind of drifted away for a while. But I always warned him, because he always held in anger for things in his life, and he always kind of took things out on people when he shouldn't have. And I don't think he did it intentionally. Sometimes we just overreact. That's how life is. And I warned him that if you stay on that path where you just hold in all this resentment, hold in all this anger, it is going to affect you. And one day you are going to end up with an early grave. And it kills me to know that unfortunately I was right. We, especially what I've seen, the transformation of YouTube has gotten to the point where we have all been suckered into hating each other because of our differences in beliefs. And there's a lot of anger out there. And that's another reason why I stopped making videos for a little while. It's not just this, although it was a big part of it in the past 2 weeks or so. But there's just so much anger and hatred when we should appreciate the fact that we think differently, that we have different concepts. Because what a boring world this would be if everybody looked the same, acted the same, believed in the very same things. I mean, just imagine, because I also have, for those of you who've been watching my channel for a while, know I have a comic book channel also. And here's the ironic part. I have over 40,000 subscribers here, but because this channel is all about trying to speak truth, trying to talk about unity, trying to think about peace and harmony, my average views, even though I have over 40,000 subscribers, averages about 800 views per video. And they get blocked as unadvertiser friendly no matter what the video before it uploads. My comic book channel, which I kind of use as a stress relief, has just a little bit over 1,000 subscribers, and my average videos or counts are about 500. So about 300 less than the video count here, but 39,000 less subscribers. So for a while I was getting a little frustrated because I felt like my message wasn't going out, and even when it was, there were always very angry people. And what I want to explain to anybody out there who may have anger issues or may be going through a lot and may have stress, it's just another emotion. But think of it like if you had a teapot that didn't have that little hole. Because you know when tea is ready because you see the steam escaping, you hear that little whistle, you know the water has, become ready to use as tea. But the hole is there for a purpose, to vent, to let out steam. And if that hole wasn't there, that pot, if left under that heat, would explode. And there are so many people these days, because of the way our governments throughout the world are held, the way the economy is being controlled, the way the TV programs, or what I like to call the television, is using our emotions against us, that we have so much frustration from everything coming at us from all sides. So many people hold it in, and all they do is end up hurting themselves. And if you take it out on the people you love, just imagine if the last thing you said to that person was in anger. And then, heaven forbid, the next day that they're gone. And that is something you'd have to live with the rest of your life. Now, that didn't happen between my friend and I, but for the past 10 years, we hardly spoke. Not out of anger. He decided to go in a different path, and there was nothing I can do about it. But I went to the funeral and realized that's the last time I'm ever going to see him. And, Francis, that was very nice of you. Thank you. You didn't have to do that, but that was very nice of you. Thank you for that. But I just want to teach people that there's a lot of greed in this world these days. There's a lot of division these days. There's a lot of people trying to push you towards certain agendas. And I want people to think for themselves. I want people to remember what is most important. Family and friends, the things that you love, material things, they'll come and go. I've had things of mine stolen when my house was robbed. I'll never get them back. And part of me was sad that they were gone, but in the end, they're just materials. And I hear all the time, because I like watching court shows. That's probably the only thing I watch, like Judge Judy, because I like listening and, keeping track of what quote-unquote law is these days. But I see so many people, like when some loved one passes away, that family members would fight over the materialistic things that they left behind, instead of worrying about the loved one they left. And my mother, and again, my friend in the image who passed away just recently from pancreatic cancer, my mother loved him because he used to stay over my house all the time when we were teenagers and kids. And she went to see him when he passed, before he passed in the hospital, on New Year's Eve, just basically 3 days before he passed. And she was talking about, she doesn't have much to leave us when she dies. And I said, I don't care about those things. I would give up, I don't care if you had $20 million, I would give that up in a heartbeat to have you live for a very long time. And because this world is so built on money, that we take that as the ultimate goal in our lives these days. That people walk over each other. People sell out one another. People hurt each other for the almighty dollar or euro or yuan or even Bitcoin. That we stop, we don't remember what it's like to just be around the ones that we love. Appreciate the things that we have. Because you never know when the world will turn upside down, or your world will turn upside down, and everything that you thought you loved was gone. And you have to think about what is most important for you. Is it your family, or is it your car? Is it the animal that you saved from the bitter cold, or is it your next promotion? This world is all about keeping us down and giving us enough scraps to want to continue to tread above the waterline before we ultimately drown. While some are pushing us down, trying to keep us underwater as long as possible. And we vent our anger towards the wrong people, our fellow brothers and sisters, our fellow humans. Because I want us to never think about each other as Republican or Democrat, black or white, Oriental or Native American, gay or straight, whatever. How about we all remember ourselves as human beings? Because as long as they allow us to be separated, there will always be division, there will always be hatred, there will always be distrust, and there will always be people stepping over their fellow human beings for the almighty dollar, or whatever currency that you are using, that they create out of thin air, keeping us all down. Because whether you're black or white, whether you're gay or straight, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you're Canadian or Chinese. The average person in the world, or the average human in the world, is mostly struggling. And that is not on accident. And because we've been trained to focus everything on the dollar, work every day, you go to school for an average of about 12 years. Then if you go to college, an average of 4 more years. Then when you're out of college, you go to a job until you die. And maybe you might make enough to have an early retirement in your 50s or 60s. And that's, if you think about that, especially if you have any religious belief, whatever it is, do you really think that was why we were placed on this planet? Or even people that don't believe in religion, or people think that we're here just to experience life. Do you think we're all here to be on that hamster wheel? And I see so many people so angry. I mean, when I went to that funeral, there were people I have not seen since literally high school. And I'm coming up on my 30th anniversary. I graduated in 1988. So coming up on a 30th anniversary from graduating high school. And there were people there that I haven't seen since high school. And everybody says the same thing. Well, you know, family, got a job, got responsibilities. Whatever happened to us having that childlike laughter? When was the last time any of us just sat and laughed because we felt good? Not laughed because something made us laugh, but just laughed because we felt good. Not many people get that opportunity anymore. Now, I'm not saying everybody is down and out, because there are plenty of people that do make it, and they work hard to get those things. But if you are in love with your possessions and your money, moreover than your company, then the priorities have gone in a way that's not going to make you happy when your things can't be taken with you. Because when it is your turn, yeah, like, for example, in his casket, we always used to nickname him Superman. So they put a stuffed little Superman doll in his casket. He was also, as you see in his shirt, he was a Dallas Cowboy fan. We mocked him for that all the time, but we put a Cowboys hat in there. But he'll never appreciate that ever again. And it's nothing more than for us to feel better about ourselves, more comfortable. I mean, I literally can stand up from where I'm sitting right now, walk 3 feet past my hallway here, and my father's remains have stood there since the day he was cremated. And I walk by them every single day. And I would trade everything I own for one more day to see my father again. And I know there are plenty of people out there that have had losses. And if we keep focusing this world on silencing free speech, on focusing on the whatever currency that you need to survive. I mean, think about it. If you are poor, you cannot afford to be healthy. Because just imagine if you had some disease that cost $300,000-$400,000 to cure. If you don't have the currency, you cannot help yourself. And I fall into that category. For those of you who've been watching my channel for a long time know I've almost died from walking pneumonia, actually up to 6 times in my life. And the reason that it came that close is because I knew that when I got the walking pneumonia and I got the 102 fever and I was getting the sweats and the chills at the same time and I couldn't breathe and I'm fighting for air, that I didn't have the money to go to the hospital to fix myself, or at least improve myself, because hospitals are not there to cure us. They're there to treat us, because you can't have a lifelong customer if they're cured. And my thing is, there are going to be times you're going to be sad. There's going to be times you're going to be afraid. There's going to be times you're going to be angry. But if we don't focus them in the right directions, if we don't turn them into something beneficial, then it's a wasted opportunity. And that's one of the reasons why, especially in the past year, my channel has basically changed. I think for me, for the better. Now, I may have lost 90% of my subscribers. Who knows? Maybe it isn't YouTube blocking them. Maybe it's my channel content changing that made 90% of them decide to never listen to me again. I don't know. But one of the biggest things that I wanted to change is the fact that when something bad is presented to you, we attract it to ourselves to try and learn something from it. And instead of saying, what can I learn from this? We tend to say, woe is me. We tend to cry out or curse at God or get into drugs and alcohol or become very angry. And like that tea kettle that doesn't have the hole to exhaust the fumes, we don't vent and we explode and we damage ourselves internally. And that's one of the reasons why my friend of 35 years, one of the reasons why he died so young. Because if you know anything about cancer, and that's one of the things about being a licensed massage therapist is they recommend massage a lot, not for all types of cancer, but especially for terminal cancers, terminally ill cancer patients, because it helps relax them. It helps increase your helper T cell counts, your white blood cell counts. That's why most people tend to get sick right after they've been extremely stressed. But they don't want you to focus on those things. And my videos are not going to be like PewDiePie. They're not going to be these, over-the-top entertaining, I'm going to distract you from life so you can continue to, run on your hamster wheel. And that's why I'll never get the same views ever or the same subscribers, and I don't care. Because to me, it's all about getting people to rethink the way they've been programmed. They put all these chemicals in our food, and yet we still continue to eat them. They manipulate the stock market, and people still invest in it. They manipulate the information we get, and we find more and more the things that were quote-unquote conspiracies have become truth and exposed for what they really are, and yet we still choose to do nothing, but yet they can still get us to hate each other and be angry at each other. I mean, there are people on my comic book channel who to this day still troll me and hate me because I've made orgone pyramids, or I have this channel speaking about things they may not agree with. There are plenty of things in this world I don't agree with, but as long as they don't hurt others or hurt myself, I give people the respect of having their right to have their own way of thinking, their own way of choice. And this world, especially like on YouTube, they are turning it into the future of television. That's why they needed to get rid of the whole, what originally started out as SOPA, but getting rid of the basically free internet, because cable TV as we know it is dying. So the corporations needed another way to be able to make money. And they're going to divide the internet up like they divided your TV channels and all the packages that you'll have to buy. And we allowed it because we were so busy worrying about superficial things. Like somebody just posted Bitcoin. I mean, that's wonderful, but you know what? I don't care. If I had the choice between bringing my father back to life and having 1 million Bitcoins, I'd choose my father every time. And that is one of the problems, that we focus too much on the things that in the end will not mean anything to us. Because let me tell you this, if money was the answer to all problems, then why is it the wealthiest of the wealthiest are the ones that still need to take from all of us? Because I guarantee you, one of the legitimate people that are listening right now, the people that are here for the real reasons, the ones who care, the ones who have taken a stray animal, the ones that care more about saving a tree than, getting a digital currency. I guarantee you, if all of a sudden you can snap your fingers tomorrow and wake up with $100 trillion in your bank account, I guarantee you'd do everything in your power to change the world and make it into a better place. I know I would. Because how much money do you need How many things can you buy with that kind of money? You would not be able to spend it 100 lifetimes over. You'd buy a country for that. And yet the wealthiest people in this world, no matter how much wealth they have, they still feel the need to keep the rest of us from ever having anything remotely close to what they have. Does that sound like they're happy? That they need to steal from others when they don't have to? I can understand somebody that, maybe a mother that has 3 children, and their father, the husband or the father, abandoned them, and they're living on their own, and then she can't get a job because she needs to take care of her kids, but she has no money to survive, and she needs to steal something or do something, not in the most legal of ways to get a little food on the table. That I can understand, even though it's wrong. But some multi-trillionaire needing to take away the money of some person that just needs enough to survive so they can feed their children is absolutely the wrongest thing in this world. And yet we focus on people because somebody else likes a PlayStation instead of Xbox, or somebody likes Marvel instead of DC, or somebody leans more left or towards more right, even though both sides connect to the same coin, 2 sides to the same coin. And we riot for the most ridiculous reasons now. And we want to stop the freedom of speech. And you'll get that one day. Because where do you draw the line of what is right to be said? Now, obviously, you really shouldn't be saying things like going into an airport, screaming out you're going to murder everybody. Things like that, yes, those kind of words need to be regulated. But if somebody gets offended because somebody said Merry Christmas, and you want to make that illegal, and then one day a government will give you exactly what you need, where does it draw the line? Or when you go to the airport and they make you put your hands up in the air and they frisk you and make you take off your shoes and socks and explain every little thing that you have. And the reason most people do it and they comply is they say, well, I have nothing to hide. Well, what if one day you're required, every day you get out of your house, you have to have a full body examination and a full body cavity search? Because if you have nothing to hide, well, then you wouldn't mind being anally probed. Where do you draw the line? Our priorities are in the wrong place. And one of the things I'm going to learn, because I said when my friend died at 35 years, I said, what do I have to learn about this? Because here's the weirdest part about it. Yesterday, I went to his funeral. It was from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And when I got home, I went on Facebook. And the first thing I saw was a video of a deer in front of a cop car that wouldn't move. And the cop comes out, and you think maybe he'd go over and pet it. But he took out his gun and shot it in the head and killed it, while the other police officer filmed it laughing. And then, after I shut that off, I watched an episode of Mork and Mindy, because I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen that in a while since I was a kid. I need a laugh. And the episode, it was season 2, I think episode 3, where Mork he's working at a museum, and he ends up making a robot have life. And the robot at the end of the show dies, experiencing fear and pain. So the day my best friend dies, I have these 2 things present themselves. And I've always said life is full of magnetism. You will attract the things that you need to understand, or what I like to call understand. So I said, what do I need to learn from this? And what I think, and that's one of the reasons why I had to make this video, is we are going to get what we deserve. If we do nothing, we're going to get nothing. If we allow things to continue to pass us by without us stopping it, we're just as much at fault as the people perpetrating the crime. And if we don't start changing and appreciating the real things in life, the family, and maybe your animals, something that you have passion for, instead of the almighty dollar or the almighty Bitcoin. If you live in greed, what will you do when that's gone and that's all you had? What are you going to do if your car and your home gets repossessed by the very people you could have stopped? These are the things that most people do not realize, because you need realize to realize, until it's too late. And that's why, like I said, with my friend Paul, who's in the image, who died way too young of stage 4 terminal cancer, him and I had some unresolved issues that we never really talked about because we always thought, well, there's always tomorrow. Well, last night was the last time I'll ever see him again. So it doesn't matter what it is that I wanted to say or should have said, or what he wanted to say or what should have said. That time is now gone forever. So if you have a loved one that's sitting next to you, whether it's an animal or whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, sister, brother, aunt, cousin, who cares, friend, or they're on their way home, or they're gone, or you guys or girls or what have you got into a fight and you're not speaking to each other, think about the long term if you never got to see that person or persons or thing again. Because I guarantee you, any of you that lost a loved one, if you had the choice between winning the lottery or getting your loved one back, I'm probably sure that at least 90% of you would pick the loved one every time. And yet we spend our lives being told that we have to go to work, we have to pay our taxes, we have to get a job, we have to pay our bills, we have to give our percentage to people who don't need it and don't earn it and don't deserve it. And we're supposed to do it willingly, and not only do that, but we'll chastise the others who are trying to break free of that corrupt system. Do you ever notice that? They got us to police ourselves. That's how ingenious they are. So the people who don't need it steal it from the ones who are desperate to have it. And we allow it to the point where we'll attack others for not joining in to the criminal activity that they've created for us. Tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. So if your priority is your stuff, like I said, I have a comic book channel. I've never tried to hide it. And I love collecting comics because it's something that I did as a child. It's a lot of my comics were stolen at one point, so I've been working hard to get most of them back. And if tomorrow there was a fire in my house and I had the chance to save either my comics or my cats, I'd choose my cats every time. That may seem trivial or ridiculous or foolish to others, but I can only worry about my heart and the things that are most important to me. And if your priorities are physical or material things, they're going to disappoint you because they will never hug you. They will never tell you how special you are. They will never kiss you goodnight or protect you when something bad is happening. And they won't be there for you the day that it's your turn to pass. But your friends and family will. Even animals mourn. So we can continue down this road of greed, this road of division and hatred, and not be surprised of how divided and how silent we all will end up. And if you want a future where your grandchildren will not be able to speak unless they've been given permission to, and be extremely limited in their words that they're allowed to say, then we continue to do nothing and keep appreciating the almighty dollar and bow down to the almighty corporation, where multi-billionaires need more from you, and we hand it to them and thank them. Talk about Stockholm Syndrome. And when people like myself and others try and get people to stand up for it, we get attacked. We get insulted. We get criticized. We get hated upon. There are people that have been trolling me for over 5 years, still the same angry people as they are now. And the only reason I ever even remember them is because they like to pop up every now and then. But if you want to spend your whole life being angry, that is more on you than it ever will be me. I've gotten closer to peace. Not because I'm special, not because I'm better than anybody. It's because I started taking care of my priorities, what was important to me. And I want that for you. The 24 people out of my 40,000 subscribers, the 24 people that are listening right now, And whoever you spread this or share this with, I want that for you. I want that from my friend Paul, but unfortunately his time on this planet is now gone. And it was his choice to be angry. And it was his choice to push everybody away and hold it in thinking it's no big deal. Well, now he doesn't get a chance to change it or fix it. Now he leaves behind a son who also lost his mother a few years ago. So now his son has no mother or father. It's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to be angry the rest of your life. If you have to use drugs or alcohol or sex or surround yourself with things because they'll make you happy, they're going to disappoint you every time. And it may not be today and it may not be tomorrow. Reprioritize if we want this world to get back to any sort of normalcy, or if we ever want to get anywhere towards enlightenment or unity. Because until we see ourselves all as humans, or living man, whatever term you want to use, we have to stop the division. We have to reprioritize. Well, here's the thing. With freedom of choice and free will, we don't have to. But we should choose to if that's what we all want. Otherwise, the few on the top that have billions and billions and even trillions of dollars will continue to steal from you, and basically just, you'll give it to them. You won't like it, but you'll do it because that's what you've been told to do. And they're not going to change that, no matter how many times a different politician from wherever you are in the world is going to go on the television and tell you everything that you need to hear. They've been saying that since there were politicians. Because if politicians were there for your best interest, and there have been politicians that go all the way back to the days of the Romans and the Greeks, well, why is it with all those thousands of years of millions of politicians, why there is not one place on the planet that's a utopia? And why is it the longer we have any governments, the poorer we become, the more we are controlled, and the less we are allowed to say, and the more hatred we have towards one another? Do you think that's a coincidence, or you think there might be a connection to it? So it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or Democrat, socialist or libertarian. They're all there to take from you. They're all there to steal from you. They're all there to get you to hate somebody else who doesn't believe in your ideals. The same thing with religion. I mean, you could bring it all the way down to baseball. A Yankee fan is programmed to hate a Boston Red Sox fan, and vice versa. Not the best way to live life, especially if tomorrow's your last day, because you never know. Or it could be somebody you care about. So yeah, you might have the fancy car. You might live in a very wealthy house. You may think that today you got everything that you desire. You have 100,000 bitcoins. You have 50,000 ounces of gold and silver. You're surrounded by all the latest gadgets. And yet you have nobody to love you, or a person that loves you could disappear tomorrow in a heartbeat. You really think those things are going to matter as much then? You don't think you'd trade everything that you own to have another day of a lost loved one back? Because if you would pick your material things over something that brought you life or gave you hope, I feel sorry for you. So with that being said, I want to apologize for not having video for a while. I don't know how often I'm going to be doing it, because it's just, YouTube these days is just, to me, YouTube is a vampire that sucks blood and energy out of everybody and brings nothing but hatred. When I have something that I think is worthy of saying to the 24 to 25 people who will listen, I will do my best to help maybe improve their life 1%, or maybe have them think in a different way, or re-evaluate things. Because I've always had people tell me that my videos come at the right time. and that makes me happy to know that. And that's why I'll always have with my channel, helping unite the people, one person at a time. So with that being said, I hope you all have had a happy and safe New Year. If you don't know the whole reason of why the image on the screen is there because you came in late, when the video uploads, just watch it again and it'll tell you the whole story of the situation. And I can pretty much guarantee you that as soon as I end this, it will already be marked as unadvertiser friendly, because that's how they control things. But to me, I could give two you-know-whats for not getting any of the money for it. To me, the message is what's important. Any little income, because like I've shown, I average about $90 to about $150 a month in advertisement with 40,000 subscribers. To me, that's gas in the car and paying 1/2 of an electric bill. But the message to me is the most important, and it's all about priorities. So you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like what I say. You don't even have to like me as a person. But at least some people out there should grow up and realize everybody has the right to their own opinions, as long as they don't hurt others. So thanks for taking the time to listen and giving me the opportunity to speak my mind. Whether you resonate with it or not, that's up to you. But I hope it made you think in a different way and maybe rethink things in a better way. And if it has, then it happened for a reason, and I'm glad to have been able to do it. So thank you, everybody that took the time to listen. I am humbled by each and every one of you. I wish you all nothing but the best, including the people that have anger or hatred towards me for whatever reasons that they have. I hope their lives improve, because if the angry people no longer are angry or refocus their anger to where it's really important, maybe one day we'll all get the change we're hoping for. And instead of hoping for it, maybe one day we'll do it. But until then, keep fighting the good fight. So thanks for listening. I appreciate it. And let me know what you think about the audio in this, because like I said in the beginning, one of the amazing Christmas presents my wife got me was this Blue Ice microphone. So I'm trying it for the first time. I haven't tested it, so I don't know what it sounds like. Let me know if it sounded good. So anyway, thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon, and all of you have a great night.